Hello, everyone. How you guys doing? So I wanted to about the new California rent control. I put out a summary of what I read yesterday in things like the New York Times and LA Times and things of that nature. Got a lot of views, but I don't think I really answered really the big question in the room. And does this new rent control, rent cap, whatever you want to call it, really impact my decisions to be a real estate investor in California? Right? You read the headlines, right? You own a couple of properties in California. Maybe you're thinking about owning a couple of properties in California and you see rent control, right? Your first reaction might be, heck no, I'm getting out of here. I'm going to Texas or some other state because California's crazy. What are they doing? All of those things, right? I get that. I also get maybe if you've been in the game a while and you've been thinking about selling and you see this one more headache or hassle being imposed by you by the quote unquote government, you could say, I'm out. I'm going to sell. I'm going to take my money and run. These are all depreciated to zero and move on. So I could sort of see how that's going to happen. But I wanted to talk about the economics of being a landlord and what, if anything, the rent caps, rent control really did from day-to-day operations. So first and foremost, going to break this down based on what I've read. I actually haven't read the entire bill yet, um, but I probably will actually because it's so impactful for us. But I'm going to give you what I think and go forward. So first and foremost, if you're a mom and pop landlord and your investment of choice is single family homes, near as I can tell, single family homes are exempt from this. The rules that were agreed to seem to be targeting apartments, and then there is the mass collector of rental units, rental homes during the crash, right? There were large hedge funds that went out and did, bought thousands of units, and the state government is clearly going after them and saying, hey, even if it's homes, you're considered a professional entity and we're coming after you and the rules apply to you. So I think a couple of things. First and foremost, doesn't impact us, right? We're mom and pop investors. We're not some billion-dollar entity that collected 1,500 homes over time. So we're exempt from that. Second, this probably puts a damper on future acquisitions by said hedge funds. I'm not sure how active they really were today because, again, they were picking stuff up for nickels and pennies and nickels and dimes. So I'm guessing they're not nearly as active as they once were, and they were probably net sellers already. This is probably even more reasons for them to sell. So we could see some inventory coming on the market from these entities that go, hey, we've done a triple or a quadruple in California. We'll take our money and run and deploy it somewhere else. That could absolutely be an outcome of this. And if that happened, probably welcome supply. Unfortunately, I think it hurts tenants because likely what they're going to do is ask tenants to move because they're not going to sell to another landlord. They're going to get less money. They're going to kick the tenants out, polish up the homes, and then sell to owner occupants. At least that's what I guess they would do because they're a for-profit entity and looking to maximize profit. So I think with every action, there's a reaction, and I think by naming these entities, we are going to see a bunch of tenants kicked out of homes and homes put up for sale. I think that's going to be an end result of this. Again, it doesn't impact the mom and pop investors out there. Second, what changes from day-to-day operation? If you were a landlord and you were doing quote unquote your job already, your property should be running at, if not slightly below, rental amounts already, right? If you've been operating for more than a couple of years, and let's just say market rent for you is 1,000, to think that your rents are at 700 or below, shame on you. That's you're not really running the business. It's a hobby. Um, there could be lots of reasons you want to do it at 700, but these are the environments that that the rule or the law is targeting, right? They don't want to see you one day take it from 700 to 1,000. That's a significant jump that really hurts renters, and that's what they're trying to solve. So again, most of the landlords that I know and I speak with, if it is 1,000 is the market rent, they're somewhere between 950 and 1,000. So in this case, the rental increase isn't really going to hurt them, right? They could raise it 5%, which would be $45 plus the cost of inflation, which is running at 2%, and boom, they're at 1,000. So Really, what I think is going to happen for the majority of landlords is this 5% cap plus inflation isn't going to hurt your day-to-day operations. But where does it hurt? It hurts in new acquisitions. This is where the pain is going to be felt, right? So I don't think it's felt in single family homes. I don't think it's hurts, landlords that have been doing and running their business appropriately. What it is going to hurt is new acquisitions, because essentially you've changed the economics of buying a value add property. Now, specifically, this is value add apartments. But for example, if you were going to go after a 20 unit apartment building that has been under rented for a decade, it's 30% below market. That's what the rule is targeting. It's like, no, you can't come in there, kick everybody out, spend 200 grand and then re-rent it. Nope, not okay. But again, the rules that are in there basically change the economics. So if you were going to go in and evict the people, right, basically give them a notice, 60-day notice to leave, you are now going to be responsible for moving expenses. And what I saw, moving expenses are up to 1 month's rent. So that just changes the economics, right? If go back to our earlier example of 1,000, right? So what you would have to do is you'd give them a 60-day notice, and then you'd be paying up to $1,000 in moving expenses. In our example of a 20-unit apartment building, that's an extra $20,000 in cost. So again, the economics of buying a value-add apartment are more expensive, and hence prices and values of those are going to go down. I also think this could be signs of more things to come. But again, at the end of the day, the more and more I look at this new rule, I get the intention. I get why it's good on the headlines. Our representatives in California have a job, and they think their job's to be reelected. So nothing better than trying to pander to the voting population. But again, I don't think it really impacts much. Doesn't impact single family homes, so the majority of landlords aren't impacted. It doesn't change day-to-day operations, assuming that's what you've been doing, but it absolutely changes the economics of value-add apartment investing. And you're just gonna have to buy them cheaper, or they're just going to be kept as slumlord properties and rented for 700 when going rent was 1,000. But that means you're not making repairs, you're doing the minimum. It's lots of band-aids, and buildings just fall apart. I think if you go to New York or San Francisco and see the quality of some of these, rental units, you would be disgusted. And I think this could happen across the state if we're not careful. But at the end of the day, I don't think this new rent cap, rent control impacts anything. It's certainly frustrating. It's certainly not what you like to see in most cases. But when you put out a video like that yesterday, you do get some interesting comments. I think you should go back and check some of them out. One of the people leaving a comment said we should get rid of all landlords, which is, I'm not really sure what they were saying, whether they think we should all be shot or something, or what. But I can trust you, if there were no landlords, there'd be a lot more homeless. That's for sure. But at the end of the day, I put out what I thought was a useful post. Take a look at it. It just went out yesterday, and reply to some of those comments, because I think some of them are very well written, but some of them are out there. All right, everybody, have a great day. Hope this helped. Take care.